Our nation was created on the foundations that all men were created equal in the belief of universal freedom. Yet almost every day there is constant oppression and alienation going on in our everyday lives. Ask yourself, when's the last time you watched the news hearing about a black versus white case or an act of injustice to another race? It happens all around us. An African American teenager can walk down the street with his hood up without the fear of getting shot. Pretty scary, isn't it? And we think that our country has overcome the racial prejudice days. Sure, we've come a long way, but we can't compare current day, which isn't so good, to past horrid times and think we're okay now. The mentality of people being inferior because of their race or ethnicity still is prevalent. Alienation because of race and ethnicity still exists in America, and the only way to get rid of it is education. The United States has a history of alienation. African Americans had been in constant alienation throughout the history of this country until segregation became a thing of the past. A prime leader during the times of segregation was Malcolm X. His experiences, and especially his involvement with the Islamic religion, shaped his opinions on racism and his ideas on how to erase the injustice from the African American population. Malcolm X's plan was to eliminate the means by which African Americans were oppressed and alienated. After making the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, Malcolm X realized that the solution to the racial alienation lied in the minds of the people. African Americans were being alienated, essentially affecting their career opportunities along with their education opportunities. And without education, society could get nowhere. Education is the key to prevent alienation and oppression of different races in America. What exactly do I mean by this? Let's take a look. Other stories have proven the necessity of education in escaping oppression, such as the life of Frederick Douglass. The pivotal event of his story is learning to read, which empowered him to recognize oppression and how to fight it. His education brought discontent with his life, which ultimately led to his escape from slavery. These reactions were exactly the reactions slave masters were trying to avoid, which exposes their reasoning in keeping slaves uneducated. Not only the victims of alienation have to gain knowledge to escape the situation of oppression, but also the ones who are doing the alienation or oppression for this to stop. Let's take Islam for example. The media and a lot of the population believe that being Muslim automatically equals terrorism. They stay ignorant of the religion and believe what is told to them. In so many cases, innocent Muslims were the center of hate crimes during 9/11, and they were alienated and looked at differently. These were innocent people having no relation to the attacks, normal American people. Education during these times of the actual religion of Islam could have prevented alienation of the followers of the religion. None of the hate crimes would have occurred if people had been educated that Islam preaches peace and tranquility, the opposite of the horrid mentality of the terrorists who were so-called Muslims. Education is essential. Personally, as a Muslim, I've felt alienated in many cases. I always know that I'll be heckled at the airport, so I was going to the airport expecting something to happen. Just on my last trip to Houston, I was pulled aside during security checking. I was told to step aside as the security checked through my bags and tested both my hands and bags for any bomb-related activity. I mean, sure, they're doing their job, but I felt wronged as I saw nobody else except me getting pulled aside like this. In that moment, I felt alienated based on my looks, although I've been born and have been living in this country for 17 years now. We need to find a way to prevent alienation in our society. It's ridiculous that we live in the 21st century and still have this issue. Education is our way out. We must gain knowledge on other races and religions and break the barrier of ignorance to prevent others from being alienated. Like Malcolm X once said, "Ignorance of each other is what has made unity impossible in the past." We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. Letter to the Egyptian Gazette, 1964. Pass knowledge on to others, and slowly we'll start to see our country unite and put alienation and oppression in the past, and all live peacefully as one.